But that's interesting that you bring up TikTok because I'm actually trying to go onto social media less because I'm finding I'm not walking away feeling good about myself or my life. It's it's more down spiral than up spiral. So even though what I'm trying to share is to uplift people's lives and support their life, just like what you do, like the recipes that you post and the conversations that you post with you and your husband are lovely and uplifting and motivating and, like inspires people to see how easy it is to make a great meal or a great dessert. But I'm there's something that's shifted with social media recently that I'm finding it's not making me feel good. So I have to figure out, how do I use this to support other people in my business while not letting it hurt me
It
emotionally.
requires boundaries. Like I use, so because like a part of my career, it does revolve around social media. I
Yeah.
allow myself to be on and off it throughout my like work day. So like that, I would say like my 9 to 5, I'm not on it the whole time, but like for instance, I wake up in the morning and I'm not even referring to social media anymore. I'm like right now on the device train. Like I'm trying to get a better relationship with my phone because I feel like there's like a real addiction just like in general. And I feel like having so much access at my fingertips, it hasn't brought like a better quality of life to me. If anything, it's taken away from the quality of my life. So I'm like I put my phone in another room and I'm trying not to get it until the kids are like at school or at camp. Then I'm on my phone and I can go on social media. And then by the time they come back home from school or from camp, I want to put my phone away and I don't want it to be a part of like my family life. So,
So you completely nailed how I felt too. I think my life was better before I had the iPhone. But one thing that I do is I never take it with me on walks or when I hike. People have always made fun of me, but I don't want it on me. Like I'm there to be present in the experience of my workout or my hike or my walk. And I also leave it in the car, or I just don't take it with me if I'm going to the beach. I leave it at home and I drive to the beach without it.
yeah,
Like I feel like I have to do these things in order to just like fully be in the moment of life.
100%. I think it's our responsibility to like be aware of these things and like what serves us. And like, this is obviously not for everyone. Everyone will have their own rules and feel like their own certain way about these things. But like, I think that especially if you're not feeling good after scrolling or being on there, and like, the thing about social media is like a lot of things that do really well on there are very like polarizing. It can actually, I read somewhere once that like social media, it prioritizes more like negative kind of um, uh, content versus positive
Yeah.
things that are a little bit more like
Yes.
radical and out there. And so like we've never had so much access to like just like so many little things from around the world at our fingertips at all times. It's like we're getting fed too much information. Simple I miss simple, like especially now that I'm a mom. I sometimes I think to myself, I'm putting myself in my children's shoes. And if I was trying to bond with my mom and she was looking at her phone and answering me back, it would piss me off and it would make me really sad. Like these children should not be sharing their parents with this device. It kind of also teaches these kids that these devices are as important to them or that they're just really important. So I'm like, I want to like be present. Things are happening too quickly. I feel like my kids are growing so fast and I don't even feel like I'm capturing it the way I want to, even when I'm off my devices. So I'm like, I don't want to miss this. And
Yeah.
that's something that I've just been like really thinking about a lot recently and trying to connect to, and just making a conscious effort to just have like better boundaries with, all the like my phone. Like it's really an addiction and I see it for almost every person in my life.
Well, my podcast is called the High Vibration Living Podcast, and it's a frequency that's in the phone. Like they've done the studies, we all know there's like a beep beep, there's a frequency in the phone that constantly calls us towards it. So that's why it's important to put it on airplane mode or turn it off. I'm trying to get better. I go through phases where I can easily turn it off every day at 8 o'clock, or I'll find myself scrolling at 9:30 at night, and I know this is not good for me. So I try to go around the house at 8 o'clock and I turn off the printer. I unplug the Wi-Fi. I turn off the cell phone because these frequencies don't need to be on at this time. I should be winding down anyway, and they don't need to be on while I sleep either. Um, and my whole family knows. That's the thing. I think it's important to communicate. Like my whole extended family knows that I turn off my cell phone at night. So if there's emergency, you need to come and knock on my door. Like there's no calling me in the middle
I
of the night.
actually heard that
Um,
some millennial parents, like there was this like movement towards, instead of like giving your kids smartphones, they give them flip phones. And actually a lot of millennial parents are looking into getting house lines again, so that, they can turn.
yeah.
And actually, I brought this up to my husband. He's like, "What era do you live in?" I'm like, "I want to parent like I'm a parent in the 80s." Okay. I,
Well, can I tell you the best thing that we had? My parents got a 1-800 number for our house. So when we were kids, we had a 1-800 number and it would go straight to our house
brilliant.
phone. So no matter where we were in Laguna Beach or anywhere in Orange County, we could walk up to a
Yeah,
payphone and
love
call
that.
them and
That's
always get a
actually
hold of somebody.
brilliant. Like, I think that there's something to be said about like, just trying to connect back with that kind of like simple, wholesome. I don't know. I think back to my childhood and it felt wholesome. It felt like I spent so many hours by myself in the backyard building forts and climbing trees. And I
Totally.
would rollerblade with my neighbors for hours and just like go from house to house, like house hopping on my block. And I don't know. I feel like
Yeah.
that kind of culture is disappearing, because the kids are just like more and more online, and it makes me like really sad because I think about those times and they were just so like pleasant and lovely.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I lived for eating outside in the summer. So we would always, in my family, eat dinners and do family barbecues in the
Yeah,
backyard. And then we always made an effort to do a family beach dinner almost every other
that's great.
weekend. And so one summer when I was 11 years old, I actually talked to all the dads in the community that I lived at. And I organized Wednesday night was barbecue night, and every dad owned a night. And they would come home from work, have all the ingredients, meet us down at the beach. The kids were in charge of setting the
Yeah.
table, making sure that all the silverware was there, all the plates were there, and we would have a dinner every Wednesday night in the summer. And I was able to organize that as an 11-year-old.
It's
So if I can organize it as an 11-year-old, like we as adults can organize it now and put together the effort to do that. But I think how I'm so impressed by how those husbands were able to coordinate their careers and their jobs and truly pause at 5 o'clock, get the food, and come down to the beach. And I feel like now, especially because of social media, they'd be more distracted and they wouldn't be able
Well,
to
I
get
think
that
it's
done.
not just social media. Again, I think it's, my like I, I think that work, the lines are a lot more blurred because people can reach you at all hours of the day. So it is something that every
Yes.
individual has to kind of create for themselves. Like they have to create these rules that they have to follow. And then hopefully their peers or their bosses will learn that like they're offline, or you can't reach them past 7 and they'll get back to you in the morning. That's not really a thing anymore. I don't know if you feel this, but when someone texts me, I feel obligated to text them back. It's weird to like leave them hanging. So like you have access to someone 24/7 now, whereas before you would go to the office and you worked and you would leave the office and you'd be done work. Whereas now you're off.
Yes. Except if you're a single woman, they will leave you
Yeah.
hanging.
You know?
That's the only instance where they won't
Oh
get
my
back to
God.
you.
That's awful. I can't even imagine dating world, but I do want to say like I think that is another part of it. And I think it's really like it comes down to kind of like our awareness and like creating those. It's so hard to do. I'm saying it like I'm really good at it, there are days where I'm like, I've spent, especially like when I'm traveling and like I'm not with my kids and I'm not with my husband and I'm not in a routine. I'm like, I look at the amount of hours I've been on my phone and it's like shocking. It's shocking, like it's not good. And I can always justify getting on and looking down, especially if you're like, alone and you're trying to not feel uncomfortable if you're alone doing this and blah blah blah. It's like a crutch. So it's just really hard, and I think it's really just important for me at least to just be aware of it and try and make like a better effort.
I'm such a nerd. I keep a book in my bag. So then
I
that
am
way,
not, I
in those
am
awkward pauses, I won't do it.
I'm not even kidding you. This is me right now. This is my attempt. First of all, I have a book. I
Yeah.
don't do like a Kindle. I need
Yes, I do real
real
books too.
books, and that's my attempt too. I'm like, also, I need to calm the like like our nervous system is like constantly with like
Yes.
all of the like pinging and like the notifications and like the fast-paced energy behind everything. So I think it's good to like kind of try and find those like little things that wind you down.
Well, I'd love to know how many, you're a host on Top Chef. How many hours does that actually take? How many hours are you giving of yourself in your life for that one episode that we watch?
So I host Top Chef Canada. This is my 8th season hosting it. It's my
Amazing.
like favorite. It's my favorite gig. I absolutely love it. The entire cast and crew. It's like every time we come back, it's like, family at this point. And for one episode, it takes us 2 days. And because I'm the host, I'm part of every scene. So I'm part of the quick fire and I'm a part of the elimination challenge as well. So the first day we do the quick fire, and that's when we're in the kitchens, and I give them like a challenge, and they literally within like a short amount of time they actually do the challenge. They don't have any time to really think about it or plan it. And the challenges last around like 30-40 minutes. And so that part we do. So I would say like it takes around a month to shoot the show and 2 days to shoot an episode. The days can sometimes be like I get in at 6 a.m. I wrap on a quick fire day at around like 4 p.m. And then
Oh,
on an
okay. Yeah.
elimination day, we start at around like 6 in the morning and I can wrap it around like 10, 11 at night. So like some of the days, television, the hours can be insane. And I always say this about my career. I have like a freelance career where it's, I'm doing different projects constantly. This one being like one of the most consistent ones, but sometimes you're like at home working and it's chill, and then you're on set and it's like game time and you're like just you're just doing it.
So how do you recover after a day where you've worked from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m.? Like, what do you do the next day so you can feel good in your body and then, but also participate in your life and show up for your
Well, when
family?
I shoot, I get 3 days off. So I go back to work. I have no days off for that 1 month, basically. And this particular
Got it.
season was actually extra crazy just because I wrote my second cookbook called Tahini Baby. It came out April 22nd. And I went on a 5-week book tour where I had 19 stops, and I was in the US for a really large chunk of it. And then I toured through Canada. And then I had 1 week off before we started filming Top Chef Canada. So it's been a couple months of like just like the grind, but like all obviously all exciting and amazing things. But when you have young kids at home, that don't necessarily also understand like where, like I have a 4-year-old, so I'm trying to explain to her like mommy's working, but it's not going to be like this forever. Like it feels like forever for her. So my husband and I made a really big effort to FaceTime as much as we could, and he would bring the girls to set, and I would come home whenever I could in between, obviously the tour.
Yeah.
And now I'm officially like my summer like officially started like a week ago. So I've just been like with the girls every day. Yeah.
Good. Well, what do you eat when you have a schedule like that? Are you relying on the food that's on set or are you bringing your own meals?
When I was younger, I was a little bit more like prepared and a little bit more rigid with like things that, you know, I wanted to eat. But, you know, I think it's because I have two young kids and I really don't have that much time. So, like, I'm grabbing their snacks and I'll have a couple apples and some bananas in my bag. Maybe some power bars, I'll steal from my husband just because if I don't have time to eat, like I get hangry. So I have to have a lot of snacks on hand. But
Hmm.
when I'm shooting Top Chef Canada, I don't really have to worry about any of that stuff. I'm getting fed very well. It was mostly around like the tour. The tour I had to pack as many like snacks as I could get my hands on, and I wasn't too picky about what I could get.
Well, I got your cookbook and I used your recipe on how to do a quick preserved lemon. I
Yes,
used that recipe. Yeah, I used it before I did a farm to table dinner for 90 people.
amazing.
I I did a farm to table dinner in San Juan Capistrano, California, and I get the list of ingredients basically like the week before the
Wow.
dinner. And so I have to decide, and you have to do a lot of things kind of last minute. So you can't do any long ferments if you want to. And so I decided I wanted to do a preserved lemon vinaigrette for the big fresh vegetable salad because these are organic lemons on a 28-acre regenerative farm. Like, when am I going to get all these
Gorgeous.
lemons? So I did your whole process in Tahini Baby the night before. My brother sat in the kitchen watching me do it. I'm like, you could participate. And it worked out so well. I still have preserved lemons in the fridge. The dressing tasted like
Oh,
lemon curd. It came out
I love that.
perfect.
Yeah, when I
Um,
discovered
so
that.
I loved the
Yeah, thank
cookbook.
you. I'm so happy. When I discovered that
It
little
had,
trick, I was
yeah,
like, thank God. For me, like this is my second cookbook. I have Eating Out Loud. The first cookbook is also contemporary Middle Eastern Mediterranean food. And I learned a lot about, what I would change or like offer in my second one. And it's mostly based off of like feedback from my audience online. And a lot of it has to do
yeah,
with kind of making things a little bit quicker and making things a little bit easier, especially because we want to make delicious food, but we don't always have the time to do it. And those are
yeah.
like preserved lemons is one of the ingredients I reach for a lot. I find it's like one of those like cheat ingredients that like adds a pop, adds something special, something really beautiful. And to be honest, it's something that I think most people like that lemon flavor, lemon in general. It's just like a universally loved ingredient. So I just love it. I lean on it heavily. And so when I discovered that little trick, to make that cheap preserved lemon for me, like it was like an exciting moment. It's like so simple and so like obvious, but something that like sometimes you have to like, think about in order to figure it out.
Yeah, I really needed it. I used to work in a restaurant where they made a preserved lemon vinaigrette. And so it would take me a month. I would go home and do my own
Yeah.
preserved lemons and I could have my salad
Yeah.
dressing a month later. But we need more flexibility in our lives right
Yeah.
now. Uh, so when did you have the spark to start on this cookbook? So we all know how long it actually takes for things like this to come to
So,
fruition.
as I said, I had a book that came out. So Tahini Baby is my second cookbook. My first cookbook's called Eating Out Loud. That book came out in 2020. It found a loyal and amazing audience, and it did very well. And I was very grateful. And when it came time to start talking about another book, which I was very like excited to be doing, um, the way I was cooking for my family and friends was like mostly veg forward. Like that's how we eat in our house. Veg celebrating, you come to our dinner table and you'll see mostly veg. And I started cooking more like that online. And I just felt like people really they were more excited about interesting different vegetable dishes. So it was a no-brainer to make a vegetarian cookbook. And the entire process from like beginning concept to actually like birthing of this second book baby was around 3 years, which is an incredibly long process, very emotional, especially because, you know, when you're a creative and you want to put something out there that obviously you're like, I tend to think about things a lot and overthink things, and, like, when you put together a recipe, you want it to be approachable, but you also want it to be interesting and fresh and exciting and inspiring. You wanna convince people to get into the kitchen and make it. So, sometimes it's hard
Yes.
to know when you're necessarily done a dish or if you've, like, perfected it to the point where you're like, "This is gonna be published in a book forever." So I tend to overthink
A
things a
good
lot,
point. Yeah.
but I'm
Yeah.
incredibly proud of this book. So, and it's done so far, knock on wood, um, really well. And it's been really cool to see people making these recipes in their kitchen.
So, what are some of the staples that you would love to see more of us have in our kitchen to have these flavors year round? So, we know tahini, we know preserved lemon. What are some of the other ones that should be in the fridge or in the pantry?
So I use a lot of spices. I lean heavily on spices and herbs. Lots of spices, lots of herbs. I find that um, those are things I lean on a lot to build flavor and complexity without necessarily having to dive too deep into really long and intense techniques. It's more about like flavor combinations and a lot of like layering. So I have a lot of condiments in my book as well. Actually, when we were shooting the book, my food stylist was like, "I love all your blender sauces." And I'm like, "I wish we spoke about this while I was writing this book because I could have really called them blender sauces. It's just a bunch of ingredients you throw into a blender and then you have a gorgeous sauce that you keep in the fridge and you can use in a variety of dishes in my book." Um, so I would definitely say, as you said, tahini. I find that garlicky tahini is kind of like the glue to almost every recipe in this book. It's incredibly versatile, delicious, bright, flavorful. And it just like I always say, if you fuck it up, throw tahini on it and you're golden. It really is one of those like miracle
Totally.
workers. Um, and harissa, I have this like frozen and fresh
Yeah.
harissa recipe. I made a harissa for my previous book and we rehydrated these dried chilies, guajillo chilies, and we made this beautiful harissa that was a little bit richer, a little bit denser. And I was like, I'm going to make a harissa that you throw into a blender with like easy to find store-bought ingredients that really create that richness and pack that flavor, but like just a little bit easier. So I made a really delicious harissa for this book. As you said, preserved lemons. Definitely have some preserved lemons in your pantry that you can reach for because it's one of those like wonder ingredients that really can make a difference in the food that you make. Spices, some that I reach for over and over again. Sumac. It's just so
Yeah.
poppy, so bright. Like think like acid and like brightness. I love it. I feel like it just really elevates everything I put it on. Za'atar is an amazing spice blend. It's a blend of wild oregano, sumac, sesame seeds, and salt. And it's really earthy and it's really beautiful. And I use it again in a variety of dishes in this book. And I also have this beautiful za'atar flatbread that is fantastic that you could make. No, I'll just say, you know, these aren't pantry staples, well, aside from olive oil, invest in some really great olive oil, extra virgin olive oil.
Mhm.
Um, herbs, like just when you go to the grocery store, buy all the herbs. And I use it so aggressively in this book that you're not going to be watching them like die in your fridge. You're going to be taking an entire head and throwing it into a dish and using it like not
Perfect.
just to garnish, but to flavor and create like
Is there a spice or a fresh herb that you can get when you're in Israel or over in Europe that you can't get here?
probably, I think there are, but I don't call for them in the book. So a lot of the herbs that I'm using in the book are herbs that we can find easily in grocery stores in North America. Like, I'm using cilantro and parsley. dill, chives, tarragon, basil, all those really bright, yummy herbs. So nothing that in the book, nothing you can't find here.
I'd love to know how you source your tahini because I've been down this rabbit hole for many years. And I know there are certain people that love tahini from Ethiopian sesame seeds and other people that love tahini from other places. So, what's your tahini source and where do you like it to be
So there's
from?
many amazing tahini brands from all over the world. There are a couple that I actually have been talking a lot about that are based, the companies are based in the US, but the sesame seeds that they are sourcing are from Ethiopia. And the reason a lot of companies source sesame seeds from Ethiopia is because they're very sweet. They're very sweet sesame seeds. They're just like some say they're just the best. I think they're the best. And I think they're soaked, hulled, toasted, and then ground, usually in small batches. I look for tahini, a couple brands in the US that I love, Eden Mill and Soom, and they're easily found. And
Yeah,
um,
you can find both at Whole Foods in Southern
exactly.
California.
And they're female founded, which I absolutely love. And I just find that their tahini is sweet. It's lighter in color. I do find that some of the tahinis I've had that are darker in color tend to be a little bit more bitter, maybe roasted a little bit longer. And when you shake it, it should emulsify or come together a little bit easier than, let's say, I'm sure some people about tahini where like the oil separates and when you shake it, it doesn't mix well. That could be a sign of it maybe being older or maybe not being as high quality. But I do find that it should mix together easily and you should enjoy the flavor of the tahini raw. That's also a sign of like good quality tahini. It shouldn't be overly bitter and you should like the flavor of it. And for everyone that gets like frustrated with the bottom of the tahini jar, how it thickens, take a back of a wooden spoon and get that out. And my tahini in this book is made in a high-speed blender. So like a very powerful
Okay.
blender. And I find that the blender, I mix it with some ice water, lemon juice, garlic, salt. The blender with the ice water, it aerates the tahini and it makes it so creamy and so smooth. So if you're like, this is too chunky and crazy, use that tahini, throw it in the blender. You'll be laughing.
I am just like, whew, feels so much better that I've been buying the brands that the tahini goddess approves.
Well,
So
I just listen, they've done an amazing
thank
job. They've done
God.
an amazing job and they're delicious.
Yeah, they are. And you can't buy the Whole Foods brand tahini because it's too dark
Yeah,
and
I
bitter.
haven't had that one.
There's not just the
Yeah, I
color
haven't had
difference.
that one.
Oh, no
But you know
bueno.
what's also
I only buy that when all the others
yeah,
are sold
yeah.
out.
And you know what, though, the thing that's really cool too about tahini, obviously my book's called Tahini Baby. I do have a love for it, but not every recipe in this book has tahini. It's more about like tahini baby. Like I'm a tahini baby. I grew up eating tahini and wanting to put tahini on everything and kind of like understanding like the power of tahini and how it can really elevate and the flavor it brings and how it goes well with so many things. But what's cool about it too is because this book is vegetarian, and I know people are trying to look for that balance of like where they get their protein and their calcium. Tahini just so happens to be a good source of protein, a great source of calcium, magnesium, vitamin, I think it's vitamin E. I have to double check, but I wrote about it. I'm like blanking, but it's an antioxidant, anti-inflammatory. It's like a superfood, so drink it.
And if you get black sesame seeds, it's amazing for hair
Like,
growth.
it's amazing.
So
Apparently,
if you switch
sesame
it up,
seeds are really
yeah,
good for men's sex drive, Feed this to your men, Give them those
there's
sesame
actually like a
seeds.
lot. There is like endless like recipes and rituals that you can do with sesame
Totally.
seeds for like health revitalization. It's really interesting. It's kind of endless. It's almost like this like secret little more than pantry staple, but like medicine
Yeah.
cabinet
Well, I
staple.
feel that way about a lot of like ingredients, especially in spices as well. Like there's so many like small little health benefits that you can get from a lot of the food that you eat.
Absolutely. I mean, I think most of us are familiar with turmeric and using it that way. But there's a way, yeah, you can combine it all together and get all the good benefits. I would love to know now that you're home for the summer and you get a moment to like breathe and recap kind of all your successes from the year, filming another, season of the show, your cookbook coming out. What are you planning to cook for yourself and your family this summer? Is there anything in particular like you're finally craving and ready to prepare for yourself?
Oh, it's actually funny because just like a week and a half ago was the first time I was able to go to a farmer's market this summer. And it like made me almost
Mhm.
emotional. Like I absolutely love a market. It gets me like it is my happy place. And especially like spring, summer, like the produce is just booming and gorgeous. And you walk through the market and there's no way you're not going to get inspired. So for me, it really is going to like just be about celebrating all of the beautiful summer produce. Like I went to a market this morning and I just picked up a ton of heirloom tomatoes and a bunch of cherry tomatoes. And I'm just going to just going to sit and eat tomatoes with really great olive oil, some sea salt, and I'm just going to laugh. I'm going to laugh. I just want to like that to me. I'm really craving just freshness and celebrating summer produce and hanging out with the family. And when the produce is this good, there's not much you need to do to really enjoy it. Like it's just so stunning. Like maybe a quick blanch or maybe a light grill or just a beautiful like light dressing. But it's really all going to be about that this summer.
So, how do you guys in your family manage who's cooking and who's cleaning up after cooking? Do you and your husband have kind of like a schedule who manages certain nights of the week? Or do you guys just kind of flow with whoever's in the mood to put together lunch or dinner?
Sorry, do you hear me? It cut out a little bit. It's funny because Ito and I don't really like believe in like roles, but there are definitely things that like both of us gravitate towards. First of all, my husband's an exceptional cook. He's a great cook. Really knows his way around the kitchen. I was going to actually write on the back of this book, Ito approved. Like if Ito loves the dish and he's like, this is insane, I'm like, it's ready. It's ready. I trust his palate to my core. He knows. So he's an amazing cook, but he doesn't need to like take over in the kitchen. Like I feel like that's very much like my place. But if I look at Ito and I'm like, I can't today, he's like, whatever, I'll just do something. Or like, I'll just throw something. I'm like, oh, God, I love you. Because you know what it is? It's less about getting up and making something. And sometimes it's more about just like the decision of what to make. Like I find the decision part is more of the mental exhaustion over anything else, especially when I'm cooking for my children, because they can be picky. It can be challenging. Like Ito and I are definitely way more like, um, easygoing when it comes to like food. So yeah, like when I'm cooking and like we're both like, we're both caretakers. Like we both like to take care of the people we love. Like we're very similar in that sense. So like sometimes if I have the energy, I'll cook and then I'll get up and clean and he'll be like, "No, I'll clean." And then I'm like, "No, I'll clean." And then sometimes he'll take over. Like it's really not tit for tat. We kind of just like jump in, and we're always trying our best to take care of one another. So it doesn't feel like it's like a resentful experience. It's very like just a casual, like, partnership around the kitchen and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, let me do a few rapid fire questions with you before we wrap things up. Do you prefer sweet tahini or savory tahini?
It's so funny. I eat more savory tahini, but when I have tahini in a dessert, it's like memorable and mind blowing. So okay, like that's a really hard question. I would say I can't answer this one. I'm gonna say both.
Okay. Okay. All right. Pita or
Or
challah
challah.
or challah. Yeah.
Um, challah.
Yeah. You have beautiful recipes in your
Thank
book.
you.
What's your go-to summer breakfast?
Summer breakfast? Um, so I tend to be I always have like some sort of like granola in the house, like a tahini. I put tahini in my granola, lots of seeds, with like a seasonal fruit, honey, yogurt. That I'll eat like on the regs.
Yeah. Very on
Yeah.
brand. Um, what what are you making on repeat for dinner right now?
Ooh, I'm gonna be honest, I haven't been cooking a lot because it's been very busy with work. But I would probably say I have like we've been having a lot of like variations of different tomato salads with like some sort of like last night we had some like bronzino. But I reached for my I have this really beautiful, actually it's right here. I'm blanking on the name. But I made this actually yesterday and it was freaking delicious. I love that I'm revisiting recipes from my book. Tomato. Okay, so I have two tomato salads with tomatoes. My tomato and bread salad with olives and oregano, and then I made this one the other day, last night. Hold on, what's the name? Hold on, where is it? Where is it? I've only been cooking from this book. I'm happy you got the book.
I do, and look at all my tabs that I have. I have all these recipes that I have to make this
I
summer.
love that. What are you making next?
I just opened it up to the halloumi fennel salad.
Yes, that's a
So
really
I
good.
love a halloumi. Yeah, and I'm a huge fan, so I think that'll be the next one.
Well, speaking of halloumi, this is what I made yesterday. It's called the halloumi dusted grilled veg salad with the toasted spiced
Nice.
vinaigrette. So it's a lot of grilled veg, but I layer it also with tomatoes. It's delicious.
Are you a tea or coffee person?
Coffee.
Hot or ice? And is there one tool that you wish more people had in their kitchen to make their cooking experience easier?
I talk about this one a lot. I think it would go between my microplane grater or my bench scraper.
Oh, yeah, yeah. You talk about the bench
Yeah,
scraper a lot. Yeah.
it's just like just handy.
And is there one thing that you do to kind of re-inspire yourself and get creative again when you're in a lull?
Travel when I can.
Mm,
Travel, eat out. I need to like let me tell you, there are definitely moments where you feel like burnout, or like you're kind of, especially when you're cooking like and creating and developing, like I went through a phase where I was developing like 5 recipes a week for like almost 2 years. And I was like, I gotta like,
yeah.
you have to keep like creatively like searching and like, just pushing yourself. So I would definitely say like I travel when I can and I go out and eat. My husband and I, we have a date night at least once a week. So we try and do different restaurants and all that.
And as we wrap up here, is there one health wellness tip or culinary tip that you could leave the listeners with that they could consider adding into their life?
I'm a big lover of extra virgin olive oil. I forget where I read this, but they said that like the article said like food is actually just the vehicle to get more olive oil into your body. That's how good it is for you. And I burn through so much olive oil. It's like shocking. My husband's like, we need more. Like, I don't hold back. First of all, it's really good for you. It's really healthy fats, but also it's delicious and more olive oil the better when I dress my salads, when I marinate, when I dress my veg, like I'm pretty heavy-handed. So I would just say like, don't hold back with your extra virgin olive oil. Give it like a proper, when I say drizzle, I mean like a drizzle, um, because I find it's just, the best. And when you find a really good quality one, it brings so much flavor. And also, again, as I said, like there's so many health benefits to it.
Are you buying your olive oils from the grocery store or are you ordering it online direct?
It depends. It depends on time. It depends on like if I need it now. I tend to really love Greek olive oils. I just like naturally gravitate towards them. And I just obviously make sure they're extra virgin. And you know, I do some research and like I try and make sure that I get like just the good quality. It can be a little bit like pricey at sometimes, but I do feel like that's kind of like worth the splurge. At least I think.
I do too. Well, thank you so much for being on the show today, Eden. Like, there's so much to learn from you. I could talk to
Me
you for
too.
hours. So this was a real treat.
Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
having
And
me.
if you ever, yeah, and if you're ever in Southern California doing anything, let me be your sous
Oh my
chef. Just
God, so
holler.
fun.
And I'd love to cook
We'll
with
make the
you.
preserved lemon vinaigrette.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime. You can dip anything in that.
Love it.
All right. I think we got you off in time.
Thank you so much. You're so great. Like I love chatting with you and I appreciate you having me on.
I love
This
chatting with
was
you too.
lovely.
No, this was so great. And honestly, like, if you ever come to Southern California, there's some really cool farm to table experiences where you could do your cookbook on the farm with ingredients. So just reach out if you ever want connections to do a farm to table dinner, and I can connect you to some great places in town where you can host that.
I love that. That sounds
There's
great.
some just really cool there's just really cool farm to table movements out here in Southern California where you can cook on farms. They have the whole setup, just interactive experiences that, I think are just making things more fun for chefs and cookbook authors and also just the community who loves fresh, delicious, beautiful food.
Excellent. Wow, that sounds like my dream.
But you're busy. You're busy. Enjoy the rest of your
Thank you
summer.
so much.
I'll let your team know when this is coming out
Okay.
and go have fun. Go have fun with your
Thank you so
kids.
much, hon. Great to meet you. Thanks again.
Just leave this open for like 2 more
Okay.
minutes. So finish uploading on your end and then you're good
Okay,
to go.
great. Thanks,
All right.
hon. Bye.
Bye.